I do think it's a good idea for property developers to understand the stamp duty land tax impact, and we're going to cover that in the next few slides. Here's a slide that I pulled off from HMRC's website. So sorry, it's not terribly clear. It should have been clearer than that. But these are the typical rates that you will see for stamp duty if you are buying a property, a residential property. And on the right-hand side, you should also see that I've put on here the 3% surcharge as well. So what I've done in here, I've just kind of put this in. So this is an additional charge for anyone that has got more than one residential property in their own name, or indeed, if you are looking to buy a property in a limited company, you also pay the 3% surcharge as well. So the stamp duty land tax charges on the left-hand side is an addition to the 3% surcharge that you're seeing there. So any properties over 1.5 million, you would indeed pay 15% SDLT charge, which is a lot of money, irrespective of who you are. But conversely, and I just need to come out of this. There we go. But conversely, if we look at SDLT rates for mixed use, or we look for commercial property, and the SDLT rates are very much more favorable now, where a property value over £250,000 is only going to be subject to 5% SDLT charge, which is significantly cheaper than what the previous slide was turning as of 12% plus the 3% of 1.5 million. So you're comparing 15% of a residential property over 1.5 million compared to 5% on a commercial property, which means that you're in effect, you are saving about 10% SDLT on property acquisitions, given the difference between residential and commercial, or indeed mixed use. What is a mixed use? So a mixed use property is one of those that has got a flat above a shop. You will find these on high streets typically, but you may also find properties that are similar to the offices that we've just vacated, where we had our own office at the front of a block of flats that we own. And so therefore, that is also a mixed use, which means we get the reduction of the SDLT charge as shown on this diagram. And that just shows you how much savings you can make on the different types of properties. Why am I hanging on this moment at this point? I'm going to share some of the insights with you that I think will be very useful for you as a property developer, to think about what kind of properties you buy, what you do with it. So this is something I want you to keep in your mind's eye as we go through these slides. Now, a couple of things that most people don't appreciate, and before I go on, I'm just going to take a little swig of my drink here. Property developers that have bought and sold properties in the past in a company have even more greater ability to reduce stamp duty land tax to zero. That's correct, zero SDLT to pay on the purchase of a property. And you do that as a property developer that wishes to buy someone else's property on part exchange. So you're buying someone's house and they're going to be buying one of your properties that you have built for them. So that's part exchange. That is typically where you find people that will go to a new housing estate and they will do a part exchange. As a result of that, the builder will be able to buy their properties and they will not have to pay the SDLT. So the SDLT we talked about earlier, they would not have to pay SDLT. There's also another piece of tax law which I found really interesting, is whereby if someone was trying to sell their property and it fell through for whatever reason, and swooping in to seize the day, the property developer then takes that deal from the estate agent, says, I will rescue this sale, I will make sure it gets done. They will also be in a place where they do not pay SDLT at all. So that's zero SDLT. I'm not talking about reductions here. I'm not talking about certain shortfalls. I'm just saying this is a 0% SDLT. So if you're in the game of doing part exchanges with people, so buying someone else's house so that they can buy your own home, then there is no SDLT. If you save the day to make sure that the sale goes through for the seller, again, there are ways of reducing SDLT to 0. You need to be wary that most solicitors, conveyancing solicitors, aren't always aware of these tax kind of, not loopholes, I don't want to call them that, but tax savings that you can take. They've been around for an awful long time. As you can imagine, these SDLT savings that I'm sharing with you right now have been around for a long time to help builders, in effect, to get their houses built, and then for them to make a bit of more money on the side. So it really does work. If you think about the concessions that farmers get, builders have been given tax tweaks for a long, long time. So isn't it not time for you to follow suit? For you to save on tax, and one of them being SDLT. I'm just going to give you a bit of an idea of the comparisons on this. I always think that numbers always kind of help you get an idea. So if you've got purchase value of £100,000, on a residential property, the SDLT charge would be £3,000. Now, and that's because of the 3% surcharge, by the way. Now, if you buy commercial property, you pay 0 SDLT. And if you did a part exchange rate, as we said in the other slide, then you would pay £0 SDLT as well. Moving on then, you can read the numbers, but what I thought was really interesting, if you bought a £500,000 property, a residential this is, you would pay £30,000 SDLT compared to £14,500 commercial, which is insane. It's half the price if you buy commercial properties. And then again, if you do part exchange, 0. So, when people talk about this 3% surcharge and they say, oh, this is the doom and gloom and this is the be all and end all, I would kind of feel that you've got to look for the opportunities rather than grumble about the downsides. Let other people do the downsides. You focus on looking at whether you buy commercial properties or if you do part exchange deals.